Finding a job in UX can be very hard. Companies are asking for years of experience, even for entry level or junior roles. And for each job application that you see, hundreds of other people are applying as well. Now, how can you stand out amongst all those people? Well, one way could be to write a super strong case study. And that's what this video is all about. In this video, we're going to talk about how to write a case study that can actually help you get hired in UX. We'll compare bootcamp case studies versus real-world case studies, the differences between those two and the ones that you should write. And we will also include a step-by-step guide for you to get started and how to build a system that enables you to write case studies in a very efficient way. But why listen to me? I mean, I'm just one designer, and there are hundreds or thousands of the other designers out there, all with different views of what a case study should contain. And you're right, I'm not providing you the one perfect way to write a case study. There are multiple ways of doing it, but in my 7 years as a UX designer, the way that I'm going to show you has helped me get multiple jobs, and it has even helped me teach others how to get a job. And in my UX mentorship program that I've been doing since 2021, I've helped 5 other people get hired out of a total of 7 mentorships. Not a bad score, if I may say so. So, let's get started. Let's start with comparing a bootcamp case study versus a real-world case study. If you've ever done a bootcamp before, you might recognize this list. And my main concern with a case study that you've got from a bootcamp is the length. There's an introduction, of course, goals, and every step that you've done during the design process. It's a very long list, and there's one thing missing, but more on that later. And the problem with this way of writing a case study is, first of all, that the recruiter or hiring manager that's reading your case study, or that should read your case study, is in a hurry. He or she has many different case studies to go through, and multiple jobs with each, even more candidates to go through. So if it's not clear right away what you can do, then these recruiters will just skip your case study and not read it, and then you're out already. The second problem is that you are hired by a business. This business might not even know everything that you can do as a UX designer. This company might even think of you as a UI designer instead of a UX designer. So this person will not really understand all the steps that you've explained. And if there's one key step missing about what you've been doing for the business with your case study, then you might be out again. So, what to do instead? In your case studies, you have to show a business that you can use a good UX design to solve a business problem. This is absolutely key in writing a strong UX case study. So instead of showing every step that you've done, you need to package these steps into a story that helps a business understand that everything that you've done before, you can do again for them. Good UX means happy users, means happy client. And the client is the one that's hiring you. And that's not always another designer. So focus on what that client needs. And that means writing a summary, writing the challenge. What's the problem? What were you asked to fix? How did you solve that challenge? What did you do to solve the challenge? And that's all these steps that a bootcamp teaches you, but in a more compact version. And then finally, and this is the one that's missing in most bootcamp case studies, your result and impact on users and the business. Did you solve that problem? And what what happened afterwards. But how to get started writing better UX case studies? The very first thing to do is to write a 1-paragraph summary of your UX project. The good thing to try here is to make a list of all projects that you've ever done, just with one line. I did a redesign there, or I made a logo somewhere, and then once you have your list, start writing 1-paragraph summaries for each of those projects. Let's look at an example. As an entry-level UX designer at the National Museum, I have designed a new version of the online booking tool. Since then, the National Museum has seen an increase of visitors of 8%. This is an example of the 1-paragraph summary that you should write for every UX project that you've ever done. And what you can see here is that this 1-paragraph summary consists of 3 parts: the situation or challenge, what you did, and your results. Now you might think, why write a 1-paragraph summary? Isn't that a waste of time? I don't think it's a waste of time. You can use your summary of your UX case study in many different places. For example, you can use it on LinkedIn. If you have your work experience section, then you can add it as a description to every project that you have over there. But you can also use it on your portfolio website. You have an overview of every project, and you can use a intro text to explain what you've done. You can see it in an example below. But you can also add it finally to your resume. If you're adding a few highlights, using the UX case study summary is a perfect example of something you could add over there. That's step 1 of writing better UX case studies. Write that very useful summary first to help you get an overview of your work for that project. It's like designing mobile first. You start very small and then you start adding more once you grow. Second step would be to turn that summary into 5 to 8 paragraphs of text. Now remember that the summary consists of 3 parts, and the first one was the situation or challenge, to give it a different label. And we wrote about an online booking tool as an example, but it had to be redesigned for a reason. It's never happening by itself. The company had a problem and they asked you to fix it. So what is that reason? What's the problem that they ask you to fix? In this case, it could be that the booking tool previously was very outdated, error prone, lots of downtime, unclear, outdated design, and as a result, customers will go somewhere else, and that costs the museum a lot of money. And remember how we discussed that you had to write your case study for a business. This is an excellent business case. No company ever wants their customers to go somewhere else. And if you can show by doing good UX design work that you can give a company more clients, that's an excellent reason for this company to hire you instead of someone else. So focus on business problems here. Something is outdated, there's a lot of downtime, clients go somewhere else. Up next is the actual design work that you did, and focus on everything you did to tackle the situation that we just mentioned. And go from big tasks to small activities. So if you've been a UX researcher, for example, you can mention your big task, which was to do a UX research project, and then mention all the activities as a part of that project. For example, user interviews and conducting a workshop. Make sure to keep it short here. Bootcamp case studies can get very long. This is exactly what we discussed at the beginning of this video. There is a lot to be mentioned, but keep it short and focus on using your typical UX keyword, something that a recruiter might look for, or something that you will see a lot in job requirements. Designing high fidelity prototypes, for example, testing, refining, user interviews, design thinking, words like that. But again, keep it short. And finally, results. The best thing you can do here is to connect the results to the first part of your case study. So in this example, we mentioned that the National Museum is losing customers. So it would be best if you could write about results that increased customers for the National Museum. For example, since the release of the new online booking tool, users are much happier with how it works. That's a good result already. To make it even stronger, you can write that as a result, the National Museum has seen an increase of online bookings of 8%. And that's something every business owner that reads your story is going to like. That person wants to hire you. And if you have done that once before by using good UX, you can do it again, but for this person. And that's everything that you should include in your UX case study. But what I've heard a lot during all the mentorship sessions that I've done is the question, but what if it's a personal project? What if there's no business result? What if I just did a redesign of a local restaurant or something that I did with a fake client during a bootcamp? Well, that's a fair question, but even in those cases, you might have spoken to users, and finding out that users enjoy a certain flow or a sign up page or something else that you've created more than they did before, that's already a strong thing to mention. And remember that many of the other designers looking for the same job as you don't even include a result. So just mentioning that users are happier now, that's already a big win for you. And as an added bonus, what you could do if you have it is add a testimonial. What I've seen at my job is that a quote from someone, I like this better now, or I don't like this at all, if you want to sell UX, is a very strong thing to include in your case study. And this is what it looks like altogether. This is a very short text, especially compared to bootcamps that use way more text, like we've discussed before. Too much text, actually. And this is a good foundation to continue with later on. So what to do next, now that you have the outline ready? You need to add your visuals, of course. Now we only have text, but how about adding mock-ups or a before and after picture? That's always a good thing to do. Or a photo that someone took of you while facilitating a workshop or doing a user test. That's a very important thing to add now. Also, if you are very proud of a certain element of your UX case study, let's say that you really like the UI design aspect of it, then you could add an extra paragraph highlighting your particular skill. That's a good thing to do if you want to do more work in that area, because then people can see that you're good at doing it, and then they're more likely to hire you. Finally, if you're ready, it's time to share your case studies online. You could add your entire case study to your portfolio website, or write it as a Medium story. You can share it on LinkedIn, for example. You can use Dribbble, Behance, Instagram, all these more visual social media platforms to share the mock-ups and visuals, and then always link back to the entire case study. That's a good way to get more views of your work, and more views equals more opportunities for you to get a job. And that's it. If you need more help writing better UX case studies, there are some useful links in the description below, like a template that you could use and a way to book a mentor session if you need it.